Alright, everyone, I got another song title poem. This one's actually a little bit different because normally I would send copies to people. I want them to read it, and then this is just more something they could just enjoy on their break. But this time it's purely, this is just purely the only way they're going to be able to see this. So um, please read the description in the bottom description of this thing because this poem does take a bit of a jab at humanity, kind of like last ones, but I found a couple of things like that just really kind of poured salt in the wound. So take it as you moment, and there will be a small pause, and that's just a moment for you to basically take a moment and go, "Wow, that was something." Okay, but this band is actually has been around since the said just after the new millennium, but they really don't have as much out to use. But I still managed to get about 5 pages. So, and I just call this one "Never Meant to Last." That's kind of like the definition of who they are. So, I don't want to explain everything. There have been times in all our lives where we've fallen and don't want to get back up, because there is little point in trying to appease those with a heart made of stone who don't care about the struggles that the ordinary populace faces. Said that puts the promise of a better life farther away with every day of not feeling good enough to stand among others who still have faith the future isn't a nightmare. Humans have to compete with everyone around them, with the weight of the world bearing down at all times to keep everyone in line, despite the many imperfections that each person has to make them different from others. Said yet, we need to be with similar people to not feel like the only one trapped in a prison. It said, while so many sail by on things beyond Cloud Nine, because if nothing awful happens to them, they can ignore and said the bitter truth that they're the real problem with society and their happiness is poison. It said one issue with life is that there are too many lies created to disguise the truth about how things aren't grand, and we're so close to the edge of despair that it's better to pretend there is nothing wrong. Said, and if we stay in a rut, the end won't happen right away. But there are many who don't want to conform to what others insist because they are sick of doing all the work and not receiving any work for the blind belief in a very corrupted system that takes too long to faintly restore hope at the best of times. If one could represent the history of humanity in a large tapestry, you'll see it unraveling in numerous parts, with some attempt to cruelly put it back together to show the evolution of society has plenty of good things to make up for the bad. Yet, anywhere you go, there will always be chaos and despair to prove a minuscule miracle won't be enough to save us from going under, said, as so, as so many have already drowned. Some people in this world, said, are so bad they come up with new ways, said, with a new way to bleed good people, said, of the final drops of happiness, with some new product, said, acting as a tourniquet to see who has the strength, said, to get back in the fight, said that is only feeding the dark desires of those on top who believe they have some right to spread despair because they're lost in paradise from everything, it said, they wanted but never needed to survive, greatly limiting their understanding of what it's meant to be content with almost nothing. It said, if you're not satisfied with how with it said with how things going now, it said, where will you go to find some relief when everything has lost its luster and you can't say hello to anyone without feeling a wave of dread wash over you? It said, when a new face acknowledges your existence and all you want to do is take cover and hope that this moment will pass, like when you quickly reach the end of the dream, said, and you wake, said, feeling scared and helpless. So, yeah. Said, it's hard to find the exact origin of humanity's downfall. And said, but we've been around for a really long time without much change, as greed has a tight grip on some who perform thoughtless actions on those in lower places, where they scrape by as they cry silent tears to the point the swimming home through big oceans of false promises, lost friends, and broken dreams that high society says is perfectly healthy. Some people are Such people are often in greater pain than they want others to know, but they hide in lithium-induced medication, said, hoping to erase this current setback upon desire to said, brought upon desire not to help others who have who have pain of their own and are better without you being so high and mighty, said while you go further down the path to destruction, said, and you won't know the game is over until it's too late and no one will provide help. One place to look, it says, the turn of the century where everyone thought, said so many good things. It said, it said, it said were to be developed like flying cars and teleportation. However, humanity only became worse, and the few good creations in art and science will be in shambles, and the broken pieces shine with the blood of foolish instigators and bystanders who couldn't find balance on the field of innocence, spoiled with the evils bred from capitalism and the constant whisper of gossip that destroys trust meant to build the future. Most people believe there's an imaginary line that exists to keep people apart, and if you're on a particular side, issues don't affect you, and you're only meant to view the other side as a spectator, said, and never get involved, no matter how haunted you are by others' suffering, and you should decide to be a force for good. It said, and should you decide to be a force for good, you'll feel you'll never go back to your better life, knowing others could do the same. Yeah, sorry about that, darkness. It said, if you need a moment, just pause it, but this part's going to get a little bit darker. After so many years, I know my heart is broken and doesn't wholly feel the warmth of the few friends still at my side, because such moments of compassion seem to get away from me before I realize some good still remains in strangers who wanted to make the sweet sacrifice of getting to know the newest face in the crowd. It said, it said, but no, it won't be easy with these new feelings taking over me. Said they have to get through a lot of grief. It said to find your star of gold amongst the darkness of anxiety waiting for the light. Most days I can put on a decent face for approval. However, if all I'm living for is to be another small cog in the machine, then how can I accept true happiness when everybody's full, meant to create evil laughs from those who don't care unless I do everything to get what you want? And it said, like it's some big privilege, despite my precious time, said impatience is wasted on you, and it makes me feel just empty. And said, I find this world to be confusing at the best of times, and often say, yeah, right, to people who say there are many amazing things, but offer a little evidence that the secret door to happiness is right in front of me, waiting to be opened, and I don't have to do anything else. However, a part of me knows there's always some catch to force control and make it seem like the agony of the past disappears, only to be replaced by something else. Said, bound by the chain of broken promises that someone wanted to help a lost soul. A lot of people say such suffering is a way to attain the eternal glory of heaven. Said, but all this really cruel testing makes me believe my immortal soul is nothing but a punching bag, and humans aren't a worthy race and should be as far from heaven as possible because we love seeing others suffer. It said, it said, suffer to hide our many insecurities. So such a path, won't, bring me, bring me to life without making me feel dead inside. One thing that helps me the most is writing, because I can release my darkness in a safe place where the shadows of the night provide comfort, when my friends aren't around. And if I lose control and want to cry, no one will judge me for being human. As I notice the in-between messages of songs others use for relief. Although the synthesis of such works isn't easy because there can be more forgotten songs that summon gloomier thoughts to help me make the change from depressed to confidence. In the end, this is how I use my voice when others aren't around. I said to listen. And if some people find an ounce of truth in my work, that means a lot because you found the open door to my forlorn heart, where I try to find peace in words as the old music box tries to come up with a tune to dull the roars created by society. So if you don't mind, I said, please have a song in your heart for those who can't sing and often find themselves lost in the noise without a song of their own to show they're not going away. So, yeah, that's. I know that was a little bit on the dark side, especially the whole thing about your soul being a punching bag. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, there are a lot of people that will do everything they can to keep you down like that. So you're in. It's just all these trials you have to kind of go through. You want to see something, you know, and I've tried being religious in the past. Too many people basically would say, if you're not a part of us, it said we don't want you here, and we don't care what you're doing wherever you are in life. You can be the best person ever, but it's like but saying, oh, you're not part of our little group, so why should we do that? I kind of feel that way at work because I'm the only male therapist, massage therapist, on a team full of women, which isn't bad. Most of them are pretty cool, but some of them are just kind of. I just feel like talking to them would just be the biggest waste of time. So, and such a friendship was never meant to last. You know, and that's actually kind of what it is. So, if you kind of picked up on anything, any of the song titles, it was from the band Evanescence. Just kind of heard a couple of their songs in the background. And I'm thinking, well, how long have they been around and how much could they have? And I just made my list and hope for the best. And just sometimes, when you make the list, you can't think of anything else but kind of like darker thoughts, kind of, and that just kind of helps everything flow a little better. I mean, if you try to force everything to be happy and cheerful all the time, it really will mess you up because you feel like you're not being as honest about who it's at why you're writing and who you want to hear it for because there are plenty of people that just do not know what it means to be truly happy either through some kind of mental issues or just the fact that they've been in the dark for so long that if they finally see it, it's like, what was that? And kind of like the idea of what Evanescence actually is just kind of the act of kind of briefly coming into being instead being or and then eventually fading and being totally forgotten. You could basically would say it's like the act of disappearing or teleportation, depending upon how you want to use it. So in theory, is the fact that someone could say, "Here's a magic spell that will make you disappear." You could call that evanescence in the same way, but yeah, just all it's just you just never know what some people are going through. You just kind of need to pick a time to sit down and say, "Okay, my name is so and so. This has been my life up to this point. How is yours? Been?" Because sometimes people don't want to share anything unless you share something bad as well. That's why they have so many kind of like counseling for people instead with large groups because it has some kind of common ground. Because you either want to be with people that have vaguely known what you've gone through, or they have other problems that have affected them in just the same way. So who knows where you might find relief. Sometimes he said I usually find a bit of relief when I can talk to clients that I've known for a good while. Like some of them have actually said, "Oh, I'm really glad you're here tonight." You know, they said, and that just always kind of works because sometimes their pain does manifest in physical tension, and just the fact that I can hear, the breaking of a ground substance and going over tight bands, and then someone actually saying that's been hurting me for so long. Sometimes that's all you need is just kind of it's just that kind embrace. The only difference is I get paid to do it. So hope everyone has a good time. Um, Try to actually have something right around New Year's for everyone. It was something I wrote previously, and it was really kind of on the dark. It was a lot darker, so I just kind of have to practice reading that one a little bit better, and then hopefully everyone it'll give everyone a good show. All right, thank you very much.